Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Barroom Boys. I'm Mondo here with Beav and Hodska. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about KD staying with the Nets, the Angels possibly moving their franchise to another owner, Saban's massive extension, and then we also have an interview with our good friend Caden, who's going to be going in depth about fantasy football this year. And all of this is going to be wrapped up with a nice little snake draft about the college football goats. Boys, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. We're in that back to school mode. Classes started for me. Y'all are out of school, but I'm kind of back on that, syllabus week grind, getting to know your professors and everybody in the class. And so that's where I am right now. And I'm in a different location once again. I'm on the University of Florida campus. Go Gators. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Very nice.
Solid.
Odd? You're just solid?
I just had like a typical work day. That's what I've been doing the past 2 hours, 8 to 5. So
8 to 5.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got like an hour lunch break smacked in the middle?
Yep. 12 o'clock.
Nice.
Best time of the day.
What do you do? You bring something from home, or they got like buffet?
Well, I'm remote right now for my training, so I'm just chilling at home for 6 months, and then I'll be moving to New York. So I guess for lunch, I just go downstairs and see what's in my fridge.
Are you actually grinding all day, or are you just like?
For the most part, yeah, because I'm like basically in the insurance industry, I have to get my broker's license within the first 3 months of my start date. And so it's approaching the first month. So I started my training yesterday to get my broker's license and have to like take a whole exam and stuff like that. And the training is like 90 hours. So I have to complete that in 2 months. So I've kind of been grinding that and then just like requests and shit like that on top of work. So
very nice.
That's one thing you should know about us barroom boys is that on top of being exquisite entertainers on the pod, we're also young budgeting professionals on the side.
It is true. It is very true. Yeah, so. I feel you. I have another interview next week with ESPN West Palm. And then I get like basically a notice of if I get the position or not at the Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce. So nice. Big week ahead, but that's all I'm really up to right now. So I'm just kind of, sitting around not doing shit except recording and trying to build this business, but it is what it is. No worries. All right. You guys want to get into it?
Get into it.
Let's go.
All right, let's get it. Boys, the biggest news that came out today, Mr. Kevin Durant, Mr. Cupcake, the Durantula, the snake is staying with the Nets. Now, basically what kind of happened is Kevin Durant, Steve Nash, GM, the ownership group, I think Kyrie also all kind of sat down for a meeting, just being like, basically just clearing the air. And they came to the conclusion that they're going to stick with this partnership where the goal is obviously to get a title to Brooklyn, but it's, it's interesting. My kind of take on it, aside from holding up free agency, which, has been kind of boring as hell up to this point because everyone's been kind of waiting what KD is going to do. You simply just can't trust anything KD says. He always says one thing and then does something else. It's very snake-like behavior. I don't really trust it at all, but that's how he's been his whole career. It's like there's not much else to say.
Yeah, well, what is there, 2 months until the start of the season?
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that he says he's coming back, I take his word for it. And I just want to say congratulations to Kevin Durant for doing what millions of Americans do every day without bitching and moaning or anything, and that's fulfilling their duty in their written contract that they signed. I know KD was only 4 years, so it shouldn't be that hard to abide by. But you know how he is with his Twitter fingers and reading all his mentions and getting swayed by I don't know, tiny public opinions and just he's a nutcase. But I mean, good on him for upholding his end of the contract.
Yeah. I mean, the Nets itself, I bet the Nets fans are pretty ecstatic. I mean, Durant's easily still top 5. You can even debate he's top 1 in the league right now. When it comes to like scoring and efficiency for him. But it's just gonna lead to a whole lot of stuff outside of the court and off the court. The whole team is just a locker room case waiting to happen. And I don't see them being any good this year like they were last year to get like a 7 seed and get swept in the first
Well,
round.
you forget, Hod. They do have Ben Simmons coming back.
Exactly. I think that makes their team worse.
I'd actually play.
I think Ben Simmons is one of the most, I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league. I mean, how are you a point guard that cannot shoot a 3-pointer?
Ask Russell Westbrook.
I mean, Westbrook is just out of his prime. Westbrook was a man that averaged triple doubles for a couple.
I know.
And
So-
he is nothing compared to Ben Simmons. He was a lot better player than Ben Simmons will ever be.
So question, do we think Ben Simmons has been added back to the Nets group chat after they removed him prior to game 4 last year?
Probably Katie added him
Added
back
back.
and then bitched him out again and then left the chat.
They probably gave him like an ultimatum, like
Yeah.
either join back or like you're gonna be a free agent and no one's gonna want to sign you.
You think that was the ultimatum for KD to join? He was like, if Ben Simmons is like gonna do the same thing he did last year, like what's the point of me even coming back?
I mean that's part of it. Other problems he had, it was obviously with Kyrie just not bothering to fulfill his side of the deal. And Steve Nash was kind of an like wishy-washy coach so far. I mean, top to bottom, that whole franchise is one ticking time bomb, but
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
kind of just waiting to see it happen.
It's funny because Katie was the one that requested Steve Nash to be the head coach 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
dream team. And now it's just like 2 years later when they got swept first round because not really KD's fault, but like the whole team's fault. Like Joe Harris getting hurt, like the first game of the season, Kyrie basically not playing, then doing the Ben Simmons trade and just like completely fucking up their whole entire chemistry. So I wouldn't really put it on Steve Nash, but I just think that the Nets, like, it's a small W and they're gonna suffer a lot of pain this season.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
also
so
want
we'll check
we're-
in.
to go
Okay.
ahead.
I was gonna say we'll check in this time next year, and they'll probably be in as big of a mess as they were this year.
Yeah, because I think the ultimatum that KD probably realized that was he either plays for the Nets or he holds out and doesn't play basketball this year because no team was going to trade for him because it's just a head case and they'd give up way too fucking much.
Well, I
So-
saw a tweet that kind of summed it up perfectly. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Basically, it shortened the whole Kevin Durant drama into one little section.
Yeah.
Durant says, trade me. The Nets say, no. Durant says, fire the coach and GM. The Nets say, no. Durant says, I might retire. The Nets say, no, you won't. Durant says, okay, I will play. Nets say, sounds good.
That is pretty much how it unfolded in layman's terms. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's the problem with Steve Nash, and it's hard to really blame him, but when you're taking a head coaching job with this kind of type of team, you need someone who's going to be able to manage personalities that are hard to deal with, like Katie, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons. And Steve Nash is not necessarily that guy in my eyes. He's very passive, enjoys the sport, like kind of, I don't know. I just don't see him being that assertive coach that's like, hey, knock this shit off. We got to focus up, try and win a playoff game because we obviously struggle to do that. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens. But
Right. No, especially a team like the Nets where you have so many superstars, past and present. It's less about being a basketball coach and more about being like a leader of men and just being able to handle all these personalities and, avoid all the conflict that comes with having all these superstars that want to get their stats that they've been, producing for the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
It's just tough if you're in Steve Nash's shoes. It's tough because if you don't win as a team, the pressure's all on you, regardless of how the players play, right? The coach is the first one to go.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think Steve Nash is a bad coach. I just think he got dealt in a sticky situation and just with like a bunch of stuff dealing off the field and people focusing on issues that don't really matter in terms of the game of basketball playing it on the court. And I think that's affecting a lot of the team overall and the team morale and their performances. So, I mean, Steve Nash, I think he would be fine head coach if he was on like a team like the Celtics or the Heat or even like some of the most experienced teams with younger guys. But it's just in terms of having and managing 3 stars in Brooklyn with a bunch of supporting cast that's dragging the whole entire locker room down.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's tough to manage egos as a coach, especially when you're not an assertive one. So it's going to be interesting to watch how, Steve Nash changes his dynamic in terms of, playmaking, like coaching all the way around. So we'll keep you guys all updated with that. But moving from the East Coast over to the West Coast now into the MLB, the Angels are potentially looking to sell their franchise. Now, it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that they're selling it, but they're kind of shopping around, seeing what offers they can get, which, speaking on behalf of all of the MLB, it's about fucking time. The Angels are in absolute shambles. They have the 2 best players in the league on their franchise, and they can't put together a winning season. Regardless of what ownership group comes in, there is a lot of overhaul that needs to be done, and it needs to be done quickly with the talent that you have. So the first thing I'd look into if I were them, I mean, firing from the top to the bottom. Like that's straight up, that's how it needs to be done. You need to tear apart every little bit of this franchise and repiece it together. That includes the stadium. The stadium's a whole drawback to the Angels franchise. It's so old, so outdated that people don't even want to go to it. And it's hard to just sit in those seats in a shit ass stadium when your team's shitty as hell. So there's going to be a lot of overhaul with whatever ownership group, looks into taking this team on. But, what are your guys' kind of thoughts on it?
No, I agree. I mean, this is a long time coming for the Angels. Yes, they are the secondary product in LA with regards to baseball, but they have Ohtani, they have Trout, they have other pieces where if they added a few more or, developed a solid farm system, they could, potentially be a playoff team in the next few years. I don't see them keeping their pieces. I don't see them keeping Ohtani long term. Trout, I mean, he says he wants to be an Angel. Who knows if as long as they're not winning. I do believe that some ultra rich billionaire needs to swoop in and save the day, clear the house, and rebuild from scratch, because clearly the Angels' business model of signing these world-class players and then doing absolutely nothing with it has not worked for them.
Oh, it hasn't.
yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. It's kind of in similar, like, because I'm not really too familiar with the Angels in baseball. I just kind of know them as the team that Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are on. Analogy that works for me is kind of Newcastle United in soccer, where they were once a very good team with arguably one of the best players in Premier League history, and Alan Shearer. And then kind of in the 2010s, they dropped off. Basically, were fighting relegation and got relegated once to the Championship League. But then a couple years ago, some rich Saudi Arabian guy group bought them, and now they're for a ridiculous amount, and now they're one of the most valued clubs, and they've turned it around. So they kind of just need to do a full 360 with the club, and that starts with, I don't think they'll be able to keep Ohtani. I think they'll keep Trout, but they need to get a new manager, new president, VP, everything.
Yeah. I mean, just the presence of an owner with billions of dollars, and the big bucks can, I mean, do wonders for a franchise. I mean, look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers a couple years ago were bankrupt. They were owned by Major League Baseball, and now they're the best team in baseball by a handsome amount. So I mean, my personal Mets, the owner Fred Wilpon got fucked over by Bernie Madoff, lost all his money. We got a new owner, Steve Cohen, comes in, wealthiest owner in baseball, and now we're able to pay these guys hundreds of millions of dollars to come play for us. So I mean, if the Angels can get like some like Silicon Valley like startup genius to come in and just call the shots from his mansion, that's all they need.
Hey, Beav.
Yeah, I know. We lost that. It is what it is. Scherzer was pitching. Very disappointing that he gave up 4 runs to the
Hey,
Yankees.
Hod, you remember how Beav was talking all that shit about the Mets being this superstar team? Well, the Yankees waxed them yesterday with their number 2, who's an ace on every other team. And they're currently losing 2-0 in the 5th as we speak.
Oh, it was 0-0 when I last checked. So something.
Yeah, last time I checked, the Yankees were getting no hit. So
Judge hit a homer.
Well, DeGrom's not pitching. Buck Showalter's resting that arm for.
I mean, I honestly don't blame them for not pitching DeGrom.
I don't either.
It would be such a bad look for the Mets if their number 1 and 2 both got shelled by the better team of New York. I don't blame them for sitting DeGrom at all.
How easy we forget the last series that we had against each other.
Yes. How easy we forget just the records in general against each other.
There's more baseball on the horizon. Lots of baseball left in the season. Anything could happen. This is the time of year where baseball gets exciting. The dog days of summer, not so much, but August, September, October, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Just want to find out who teams really are, and that we will.
Yep, let's go Yanks. That's all you need to know. But yeah, one thing I do want to talk about the Yankees though is Judge just hit his 48th homer. He's having an unreal season, and if they don't re-sign him, I'm gonna lose it. Absolutely.
So his contract is up at the end of the season.
He is a free agent after the season. Hal
wow.
Steinbrenner has not done his job. Brian Cashman has not done his job in working to bring Judge back on an extension that was supposed to get done before the season started. And they're kind of feeling the smoke from it now.
Well, didn't they agree on something for like the rest of this season, but they don't have anything after that?
He's here for this season. He is a free agent as soon as the season ends. If we don't re-sign him, I mean, it's time to fire Brian Cashman and get rid of Hal Steinbrenner as the executive of the team.
That's crazy because Cashman's been there since what, 2009, I think?
No, since literally 95.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's been there for a minute, but he hasn't done anything in the last 10 or 12 years.
He's literally riding off of the World Series that were basically built before him. And
right, no, he didn't draft those guys, the Jeters and Pettits and
he didn't. He didn't do that. He's literally been riding the coattails the entire time, and now he can't seem to fucking do his job correctly. Shocker. Your one thing that you need to make sure of this offseason is you re-sign Aaron Judge. You have a whole section of your ballpark named the Judge Chambers. Like, you have to re-sign Aaron Judge. No other player in this fucking league has their own little section of the field. Not even Mike fucking Trout. Aaron Judge is your moneymaker. He's the guy that brings in all the fans, and he is the one that needs to be paid. Simple as that.
Well, the Yankees, no team has as much leverage as the Yankees in situations like these. I think if they give Aaron Judge his asking price, then Aaron Judge will 100% stay with New York, because why would he leave the best market in baseball? He's the MVP. He will be. He should be at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And if Cashman doesn't give him what he's asking, then Cashman needs to be the one that gets the door.
You will
So-
catch me in absolute shambles if Judge signs elsewhere. I'll go live,
Imagine if he pulled a Johnny Damon and went over to Boston.
bro. I'll go
Reverse
live. I
from-
will have tears going down my face. I will be in shambles. So, yeah, Brian Cashman, get your head out of your fucking ass. It's time to get it rolling. Get these contracts planned out. So now let's head down to the South.
Oh, some
Who's it?
contract got signed. A big one too. Some say not big enough.
Saucy deal in the South in college football land. Nick Saban signs a massive extension. It averages around 11.7 million a year, which is like $500,000 higher, I think, than who was it? Jimbo Fisher.
The
Yeah.
$100 million man over at A&M.
Yep. And he has this contract for the next 10 years. So, yeah, I mean, this is, first of all, he deserves it. I mean,
Yeah,
As far as-
he's the goat of coaches in college football.
yeah,
He
college
definitely
sports,
100%
honestly.
deserves it.
It's
Worth every damn penny.
yeah, it's unbelievable. I kind of want to look at this from the NIL angle where they want to put in regulations against players for certain amounts of money. And I would just like to show this as a reason that, the kids deserve the money too. This man's making hundreds of millions of dollars, but yet these kids are getting capped at a certain
Okay,
amount.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that. See, I think Nick Saban should be getting paid more, arguably.
I
And
think
No,
should be-
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get more. I'm saying that a lot of the big coaches in college football have been speaking out against how much money the NIL could potentially bring in. But yet here we are signing $100 million deals like it's fucking nothing.
I mean, but yeah, that's like in terms of NIL, that's from the university. That's what the university is offering him. The university can't offer NIL deals to the athletes. Like they
Oh, I
can-
know.
So it's a completely different ballpark. And I mean, you're looking at the top NIL athletes on evaluation that just came out. The number one isn't even, he's going into a senior year of high school, and it's Bronny James with his evaluation of
Really?
7 million. Yeah. The next
Wow.
one is Mikey Williams, who's also going into a senior year of high school.
what's the deal with Mikey Williams? Is he even solid? Like, is he
Yeah,
gonna play top
he's
level
pretty,
D1?
he's pretty
He's
raw.
pretty
He's
good.
considering going to an HBCU though, because he's like about that life.
I can see
which
that
good for
happening.
him.
Yeah.
And then it's Arch Manning. Then you got the actives like Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith, Najiba, or in whatever his name is. Caleb Williams.
Y'all see Bijan Robinson, Texas running back, signed a deal with
Mayonnaise, or that's,
Bijan Mustard.
yeah. Yeah,
Bijan Mustardson, I believe, is the name of the mustard.
You
yeah.
see Dakotas Crawford do his little AC commercial.
Yeah.
That's great. The coldest to ever do it.
Yeah, bro. He did a little AC commercial. But
Yeah.
not Hod. What I
Yeah.
was saying was a lot of these coaches are bitching about the amount of money that these kids could potentially make. And yet they're just lining their pockets with hundreds of millions of dollars.
I
Like that
mean,
was kind of the angle I wanted to talk about it as.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but I mean, when it comes to like the players, they're still young and they're still being taught. So the coaches definitely deserve the amount of money that they're getting. The players do definitely deserve some, but not as much as they'll be making, because a lot of the times in college football, I know like a stat that 2% of college athletes in general, not just like football, but make it to professional in their respective sport. So a lot of them don't deserve it. But in terms of like, if you're someone like a second string or a third string, even like a first string that isn't that good, you're not going to make it. You don't deserve like $1 million or 100K or something like that. You deserve something small. And that's why like a lot of these top recruits, like you look at the top recruits for the class of 2023 in terms of college football, they're all being paid like their NIL evaluation besides like Arch Manning is like 400,000, 300,000, 200,000. But when you get to like the 50th player, it starts going into like 50K, 40K. Like the evaluation for some guys that UF signed and have committed for 2023 is like 12K, and they're top 150 recruits. So
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like coming from where we were like not so long ago, where you couldn't get any money, the fact that these guys are getting $12,000 in their pocket just for
exactly.
university and playing football is significant. I mean, obviously, if they perform well on the field, the endorsements and the NIL deals will come.
Yeah.
Right now, the whole system is just so new and so young. All the issues are kind of getting sorted out as we speak.
Yeah.
In due time, there'll be like a clear kind of hierarchy of like payments and,
Yeah. And you also look at from the angle that just because it's like a team that doesn't have the salary to pay them, it's completely based on endorsements and sponsorships, and that these companies just don't know what to do because the NIL is so new, and they may not have enough money to afford like so many certain players or some top guy that's worth the $3 million evaluation, where they can only chip in like, oh, like if you're a small business and you want a guy in NIL, it could only be like 5K, but what is that really like worth to the athlete and like worth to your business in that terms? So it's like trying to find the medium of making the athlete happy, but not just paying him a fuck ton of money and doing nothing to promote your company or sponsor your company. So it's kind of just like it's in the early stages. So hopefully it'll get better. But in terms of the coaches, I mean, the coaches have a lot to do with the NIL because they're the ones that train them every day. So they should definitely be paid more.
That's fair.
But with regards to Nick Saban, I mean, that man deserves every single penny. What he has done for the state of Alabama, I mean, legend and stuff.
No, I agree.
And it's not like he has to, pay for anything in Alabama either. He's getting $100 million, but he goes into Tuscaloosa for dinner, and he's not handing them a check.
Oh yeah, like that. Nick Saban has submitted his legacy not only in college football, but at not only at the University of Alabama, but in college football. I'm sure Bryant-Denny Stadium will be changed to Nick Saban Stadium once he retires in probably like 20 years, hopefully.
Think so? Because they didn't name it Bear Bryant Stadium. Oh wait, is Bryant and Bryant-Denny after Bear Bryant?
Yes, it's like two people. They named it Bryant-Denny because it's two players. So it's Bear Bryant and some other guy named Denny.
I did not know that.
Saban Stadium, bro, coming in hot. Be on the lookout.
Shout out Denny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a hell of a year for college football. There's a lot of beefs this year.
Oh man, I can't wait for that Bama A&M game this year.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that, bro. I can't wait.
Under the lights.
There's gonna be some fights in that game.
But what channel is that game gonna be on now? Is that game gonna be on like fucking NBC or something?
Dude,
that would be
something.
I mean, it'll be their SEC network for sure. So we got 4 days till week 0 starts. So first game, Northwestern versus I think Nebraska in England. So that'll be hype.
Oh wow.
So
all right, with that,
Nebraska to England.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Yes. The Corn Huskers.
The coldest takes on London.
Ooh.
So.
That's a matchup right there.
Yeah.
All right, with that, let's get into our interview with Caden. So we will bring him in right now. Welcome back to the episode. We would like to welcome on very special guest, great friend of the program and fantasy expert, Mr. Caden Cubbedge. Caden, how are you doing today, buddy?
I wouldn't quite say fantasy expert, but I am doing hope you guys are doing good. Glad to be on the pod.
Yeah, glad to have you. You'll be an expert one day.
Yeah. I still haven't won a league yet, actually. I got last year I had Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, I had Herbert, I had Pitts, and somehow
how the hell did you not win?
Lost in the playoffs. I don't know.
Oh my god, that's miserable.
Man, I told y'all that Gary should have gotten the mullet kid instead.
I was waiting for the mullet kid, but that didn't happen. So we went with option number 2, who's still a great option to have. And that's our local fantasy expert.
That's true.
So Caden, I guess let's just get straight into it. Who are your MVP performers to look out for this year in fantasy?
All right, so my first one's a big one. It's more of a sleeper pick, I'd say, than an MVP. I think Allen Robinson is going to be one of the best receivers this year. He's listed as the wide receiver 29, I think. And do any of you guys can you guys list the quarterbacks Allen Robinson has had in his career? I would love to hear that because I actually wrote them down.
Well, what
Blake.
year was he drafted?
2 games of Justin
He was
Fields.
drafted, I think, in like 2014.
He
Yeah,
went to Penn State, right?
Yep.
he had Blake. He had, I don't even know who else with the Jags quarterbacks were.
I think it was just Blake on the
Just
Jags.
Blake.
Yeah, well, he had Andy Dalton with the Bears for a few games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously
Fields.
Fields,
Yep.
Who was that other scrub? Trubisky.
the MVP, Trubisky.
Trubisky, and then the other one is Nick Foles. So, give him Matt Stafford. I think he's gonna do well this year. I think he's one of the best sleeper picks in fantasy. It's a very hot take. Not saying this will happen, but I think he has the potential to put up similar numbers to Cup this year, just based on, he actually is younger than Cup. It doesn't feel like that, but I think he's gonna have a great year as long as he stays healthy. So that's my number one sleeper pick right there.
I like that take. I mean, Robert Woods was solid last year until he tore his ACL, and I think Allen Robinson's more of a physical receiver, so a deep ball threat that gives, and then you have Cup underneath, so you can get open a lot in one-on-one.
Mhm.
Do you want me to keep going down the list, or do you guys want to?
Yeah, man, go for it.
As many as you want, just keep going.
Yeah. I think Juju will be a sleeper pick this year as well. He's like around the same draft position as Allen Robinson. I think he's like the 30th or 31st wide receiver. Like obviously he's set to be the wide receiver 1 in Patrick Mahomes' offense. So I think he has a lot of potential, especially in the deep ball game. Like anyone on the Chiefs offense that's a receiver, I think can definitely put up numbers. And Juju's a consistent guy. He's not a Byron Pringle or something like that. I think he'll for sure have a good year.
Yeah, I like that. Juju's when he's on his game, he's a very physical receiver. He's got a big frame and he's got good size.
Yeah,
As long as he can get open, I mean, relatively open, Mahomes will find him. So
for sure.
yeah. I mean, back in when Juju was kind of young in his like second and third year, I think he finished with like 2 back-to-back top 10 fantasy seasons for wide receivers. So he definitely has the ability, especially with Mahomes throwing him the ball instead of Roethlisberger.
yeah, I don't know, maybe not a wide receiver 1 or 2, but he would be a hell of a flex.
I think he's a good like wide receiver 3/flex, depending on what you're in, and especially if you're in a PPR. Like I think Juju will be a good pick.
Yeah.
If Christian McCaffrey falls to you guys at like 5 or 6, are you taking him?
Yeah.
I was talking about this.
All right, and then Saquon in the second round. Christian McCaffrey and Saquon. I feel like if you have both of those guys on your team, you have the upside for a championship and the downside for just
last place
team in the league. Like
yeah, if you have both those guys and they go down, you're feeding for running backs on the waiver wires for the rest of the season. Trying to snag them from Joe Malinowski, who has 8 of them on his roster for no reason.
Oh, it's so annoying. But yeah, I think Saquon will have a bounce back year. It's just dependent on the Giants O-line. And then McCaffrey, I think he's got the potential to be the best running back and the best fantasy player if he stays healthy. If not, then go to the waiver wire and immediately snag Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
I feel like Saquon's got a chip on his shoulder this year.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of critics in his ear this offseason, last season. If he doesn't put it all together, he might not be a New York Giant this time next season. So he really needs to be productive and stay healthy.
He's had a lot of time to recover from that. He's 2 years off that ACL injury now. So, and also the Giants offense is horrendous, but their O-line did get better. I think their O-line will be better this year. So Saquon will definitely be carrying the offense if the Giants have any offense. So I
Well,
don't
it
think
won't
it's
be Kenny Galladay. I'm telling you that
Don't
right now.
get his hopes up, Caden. Come on now.
if any, you know. I mean, I'm a Jags fan, so I can't really talk much trash.
Well, I don't know if y'all saw, but Kayvon Thibodeau went down in preseason pretty good.
Yeah.
Someone calling the hit a little dirty
I
by
agree.
Randy
I
Moss's
Yeah,
son.
that was a chop block for sure. I don't know if
Preseason?
it should fly in the preseason. I think that's a dangerous play, especially for preseason.
Especially for a top 5 pick like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a quarterback at that point in the preseason, where you should be scared to hit him.
Yeah.
That's the risk of preseason, though. You want to get your young guys out there, but you don't want to play them the whole time.
Yeah. They're saying he'll be back by week 1. That's what the Giants are saying. The scouting reports are saying that he's not. So we'll see. Hopefully he's back soon because the Giants really need that spark on defense.
Yeah.
But that was the criticism with Thibodeau, is that he's like a smaller sized edge rusher, less physical than smaller than some of those other guys.
There was talks of him at one point going number 1 to the Jags. It was between Thibodeau and Hutchinson for a while, and then we ended up picking Trayvon, which I don't think was a bad pick, but I think time will tell. We'll see.
Maybe it's just me, but I just think Hutchinson is very overrated. I didn't really see it at Michigan. I thought there were plenty of better edge rushers in the SEC alone.
Yeah, the way I see it, I think Trayvon Walker has a higher ceiling than Hutchinson, but I think Hutchinson has a higher floor, if that makes sense. I don't think Trayvon's gonna be a bust, but I feel like Hutchinson will be consistent, but I think Trayvon can be an absolute beast if the Jags can develop him right, which I'm not that hopeful of, but we'll see.
Yeah. I guess in terms of just rookies, because we've been talking about them for a little bit, but in terms of fantasy output, because a lot of the top rookies this year were either, I feel like, defensemen or linemen. So what are some, in your thoughts, Caden, on like a rookie breakout? Like, who do you think is going to have the best rookie performance, whether it's a quarterback like Kenny Pickett or a wide receiver or a running back like Breece Hall or someone like that?
It's a great question. I think I'm gonna go receiver on this one, just since there was like 5 receivers taken the first round. I think Chris Olave, if he develops some chemistry with Jameis there, I think he can be a great duo there. Jameis is a gunslinger, so I think he can definitely get some deep balls and score a few touchdowns here and there.
Yeah, classic Jameis, 400-yard passing, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Are we drafting Jameis this year? Is he a draftable quarterback?
I mean, let's just go. Who's your do not draft in general?
For quarterbacks, I'm staying clear of probably Trevor Lawrence, honestly. I think he'll have better this year, but I don't think he's gonna have that good of a year. It's a good question. Let's see, are you talking about like early rounders I don't want, or can it be like anywhere in the draft?
Anyone?
Let's see. Honestly, this might be a hot take, but I think Mike Williams, just because of the inconsistency. Like, I had him on my team last year, and like the first 5 weeks, he was dropping like 25 a game.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, then he just started having like 9-point games, and like it's nice to have him when he's good, but it's just I'd rather have a guy who can give me 15 points every single week than a guy who will give me 25 one week and then 5 the next week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I saw, because I did a draft this past Friday, and one of my friends took Mike Williams, I think in the middle of round 4. And I was looking at like his stats, and it was like through week 8, I think he was a wide receiver 4 in fantasy. But then from weeks 9 through 17, he was a wide receiver like 35. So it's just very inconsistent there.
I mean, Herbert, like he's gonna have a great year next year, possible MVP candidate. Like, I don't think it's a bad pick, but it's just, I don't know, you just don't know. It's just kind of inconsistent performance from Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go just one more, like, this isn't really a sleeper, but I was gonna say Nick Chubb. just because the Browns have, I think they're ranked like top 3 offensive lines in the league. Obviously, Kareem Hunt will take some carries, but he's at like the running back like 13 or something. So I think that's a good value pick for Nick Chubb. I think he can definitely break out this series. He usually always finishes like top 10 running backs, top 15 if he stays healthy. So I think Nick Chubb can have a really good year. I mean, with Deshaun Watson out, like I don't really think that helps or hurts because like he'll probably get more carries, but the defense will also be boxed in, and then more carries means higher chance of injury and all that stuff. But I think he's set to have a good year.
Nice. And I want to bring up one player because after doing the draft this past weekend, there was one player in particular that was, I think, for the first time in fantasy football that I've been doing it for like the last 12, 13 years. This one player has always been taken and he wasn't taken this year. And he's a quarterback and the reigning MVP, Aaron Rodgers. 12 or 13 quarterbacks were taken in my fantasy league, and Aaron Rodgers is currently sitting on the waiver wire. So what are your thoughts on like Rodgers?
Dude, I would love to have Rodgers as a backup in the 15th round of my fantasy draft. That's crazy that nobody took him.
Yeah, I mean, I think
draft backups. Like
I did. Like I think 3 people drafted backups. I think one of my friends took Dak as a backup. I think someone took a chance on Trey Lance because he's someone that has a lot of upside this year.
That's a bar.
And I think someone drafted Burrow as a backup. Or
so
but Rodgers, yeah, he just wasn't picked. I'm not the type of person that will draft a QB when someone's like that is sitting on the waiver wire or other good QBs. If it was like a deeper league, then yeah, I would. But if 7 people aren't drafting backup QBs, there's going to be some decent option for your bye week.
Yeah,
I mean, there's gotta be like one shitter on your squad, Hod, that you can get rid of for Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
There's
yeah,
gotta
but
be
I'm not.
somewhere.
Yeah, but I was taking upside at that point. Like I didn't feel like I didn't feel like there was no worth to me of drafting Aaron Rodgers, especially with his unproven receiving core. And I already have like a solid quarterback. I took Russell Wilson in like the 11th round. So like I would play Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers, but you never know.
I think Aaron Rodgers could be thrown to janitors and still throw for 300 yards a game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It is big that he doesn't have Devontae there this year, but I still think he's a top 15 fantasy quarterback.
But who's the number 1 in Green Bay? Is it Alan Lazard?
Yep.
Yeah. That was one I was thinking about talking about too. I feel like he could have a very productive season as well.
Yeah.
He's number 1 in Green Bay. I mean,
Alan Lazard would be a great flex.
Yeah. Dude, I wish the Packers would just draft some good receivers. Aaron Rodgers could.
Yeah, the Packers haven't drafted a wide receiver. I think in the first round.
This year, but it was 2nd or 3rd round, I think.
Took him 2nd round, the beginning of the 2nd round, Christian Watson, who is the person I ended up drafting in the 15th round of my league over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae went round 2 or 3 too.
Yeah.
So, Caden, one of our first episodes, we went through, each position and gave who we thought was going to be the number 1 fantasy finisher in that position for the year.
I like that.
So we were wondering kind of, what are you thinking?
All right. Let's see. I guess we can start with quarterback. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be. I'm gonna say Justin Herbert. I know that's probably like the number 1 guy on the board there, but I don't really see him having an off year this year. I think he's gonna be even better than he has been the last 2 years. Another quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I think he has a lot of upside, a lot of potential to win leagues this year. Okay, and then running back, I'm gonna go say either Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey for running back. I think if I'm in the number 2 or 3 spot and Derrick Henry's still available after Jonathan Taylor gets taken, I think I'm taking Henry. Just even though he doesn't have the receiving upside as someone like McCaffrey, I think he's just a bruiser. Like he's gonna get so many touches a game. He's gonna get every red zone carry. Like I think he's a beast, and I hope he doesn't get hurt again because Titans are definitely overworking him there. But he's just an absolute stud. Wide receiver, I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think that was a unanimous one.
Yeah, I mean, Cup's obviously, I think he's projected to go like top 3 in drafts. I don't think I'd take Cup top 3. I think Justin Jefferson has more value as like a like the 6th or 7th pick. I think he's a little bit better than Chase just in his situation that he's in, but I think Jefferson for sure is wide receiver, and then tight end. I'm gonna go with my man Kyle Pitts, even though he's got Mariota throwing him the ball. He's an absolute stud, and hopefully they're not double teaming him every play. I hope he can get his touchdown numbers up this year, because it was sad to see like he had an amazing season last year, but the touchdown numbers just weren't there, and that can boost his fantasy like stock so much if he can just grasp the potentials in the touchdown area, the red zone.
Man, if Kyle Pitts just had a gunslinger as his quarterback,
oh yeah, dude.
He'd be putting up record numbers for tight end. He already did.
I wish the Bucks would have drafted Pitts, or not. I guess no. I wish the Falcons would have drafted Trask. Is what I'm trying to say. That would have been fun to see, because the Falcons needed a quarterback, but I mean they obviously found what they think is their guy in Desmond Ridder. We'll see, but that would have been fun if the Falcons drafted Trask in the 2nd or 3rd round, and then had the Pitts the Trask to Pitts connection going on in the NFL.
And they also got Mariota, so
true.
Mariota underthrew our boy Kyle Pitts.
Fun fact,
He dropped a dime to him yesterday, and Pitts went for he had like a 40-yard catch like in the first like 2 minutes.
That's what I'm talking about. It was a little underthrown. If you just let that thing fly, that's a touchdown.
Yeah, I was about to say,
disrespect Mariota.
If you hit him in stride, that's a touchdown all day.
So.
I don't think Mariota's got that arm strength anymore. He's been riding the pine for too long.
Yeah, he had. I remember the Jags Titans game. The Titans always shit on us, but I think Mariota had like an 80 or an 85-yard touchdown run against the Jags. One of the longest quarterback touchdown runs in NFL history. So that was not very fun to watch, but it was cool. Little fun fact about Mariota.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
I just have a question. So a lot of the times, like say you're in a 10-man fantasy league, you have like an ideal pick, like, okay, I want to draft from the 4 spot, or I want the number 1 pick. What's the one pick that you don't want, like in terms of numbers?
I think just the dead center smack dab middle of the round, just because it's so irritating, because you just, I don't know, I feel like in the middle, like, it's kind of nice being like 1st or 2nd because you get like 2 picks in a row, and then it sucks to wait a long time, but you can snag 2 guys back to back that you want. When you're in the middle, like you can't really strategize as much because you don't know if that next guy is going to be there. Like if you got like 2 picks, and like say you have like the 2 pick, so you have 2 picks in the next 4, like you can kind of see like, okay, like I'll draft this guy because he's about to go, and then you'll have your guy that probably is like more of a sleeper pick that isn't going to get taken in the next 2 picks, so you can kind of strategize a little bit more, I think, towards the end of the rounds. But when you're smack down the middle, you're kind of just in no man's land. I hate drafting right in the middle.
I feel that.
Yeah.
All right, Caden, I have a question. Alvin Kamara, 1st round or no?
I'd say middle 2nd round. I think he has 1st round potential. I don't know. I had him last year, and he just really pissed me off because I think he's the main reason I lost in the playoffs. He scored like 5 points against the Dolphins in that fantasy playoff game, but he does have a lot of upside. He's not gonna get suspended anymore, is he? I heard some rumors about like a 6-game suspension. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a little late from the NFL, and they're just if they just keep on like not addressing it. I mean, the
I mean,
season's
I was
already-
hearing this like a few weeks ago, so I assume if he's not suspended yet, he's not going to get suspended.
Yeah,
I mean, based on the NFL's track record, that'd be at most a halftime suspension. Like, I don't think that's gonna get too much.
We'll wait till the day before week 1 starts just to fuck everybody over.
I
Oh,
hope I
bro.
drafted Mark Ingram in like the 14th round, just waiting and seeing if Kamara gets suspended or not.
But yeah, I think Kamara definitely he has upside. He has obviously has a lot of receiving upside. Like he just makes everything look so smooth when he's just running out in space. Like he's not the 4.3 40 guy, but like he's kind of reminds me of like Le'Veon Bell, where he just like knows how to, you know, follow his linemen and just find the holes. Like, and he's also very elusive. So I don't mind drafting him in the second round, but I don't think I'm taking him with the first rounder. Maybe like the 12th pick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And like Kamara, he was kind of dominant in the years past. Another person that was dominant in the years past, but kind of fell off last year, Ezekiel Elliott. What are your thoughts about him? And I've heard that they're gonna move on from him next year. Pollard's the guy. They might split. So where do you think you're taking Zeke? His ADP right now, I think, is around 40 to 42. So
That's like fourth round.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I haven't looked into Zeke that much. Like, it's weird. He was like so good like 2 or 3 years ago, and he kind of has fallen off since. I think he's better than Tony Pollard. Like, I think the Cowboys should be using him more. But maybe if they're trying to get rid of Zeke, I don't know. Maybe they'll throw Pollard in. I know he got some more work last year. I think if Zeke falls to me in the 5th round, I'm taking him, but I'm definitely not reaching for him. I think he's one of those players, like he has the upside where if he falls to me at a good position, I'd take him, but I think there's probably some better receivers, maybe better running backs. I don't know. Once you get to that like 4th, 5th round, the running backs kind of fall off, and you're trying to draft like just players with the most upside. So yeah, I think if I like went wide receiver heavy for the first like 3 rounds, then maybe I'll take him in the 4th round. But if I don't need a running back, I think I'll let him fall to me in the late 4th, early 5th round.
I like that logic. Makes sense.
Very nice. All right. I guess do we kind of want to get into this draft?
Yeah, let's go
I
for it.
know. All right. So for today's draft, it's a little bit different. The overall topic is college football goats. But there's a little twist, you know, as we normally do it, you just kind of draft whatever. Today's different. Today you draft a coach, a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and a defensive player. So 5 rounds. Caden, you are the guest, so you'll go first. I won the last draft, so I'll go 2. Beeve, you'll go 3. Pod, you'll round it out at the 4.
Okay.
And then, yeah, any questions, or you guys ready?
All right, so
All right, go ahead.
we're doing it so you can draft any player, and like it doesn't matter. Like first round's not like coaches. You can do it whatever you
Yeah,
want.
whatever way you want. You just have to have one of each. Please, please, please help me out and just keep track of it by yourself so that I don't have to change all the colors and
I
shit.
got you.
Mhm.
All right, we ready to kick it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Get started, kid.
All right. I mean, this is I'm sure you guys all know who I'm gonna pick here as for UF students, but gotta go with Timmy Tebow, my childhood legend right there. Absolute menace on the field and absolute angel off the field.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't go wrong with Tim Tebow. He won 2 national championships, Heisman Trophy. Like his resume is absolutely stacked. He held I think the rushing touchdown and yards leaders for quarterback in the NCAA or SEC for a long time. Like he's just the absolute GOAT of college football. especially with a little UF bias in there. So that's my first overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the second pick, I feel like there's a clear 1A, 1B with us. So I got to go coach, got to go Nick Saban. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the other lock for the first two picks.
Mhm.
Don't really need any explanation. Everyone knows Nick Saban's the fucking GOAT. So yeah, not
Yeah.
much else there.
You don't have to say anything about him.
So I'm third.
Yeah, you are.
All right. Well, Nick Saban's off the board, so it'd be pretty hard to find a coach with the pedigree of Saban. There is one, and he came before Saban. I'm gonna go with Bear Bryant, another Alabama legend, with his white and black checkered, whatever style hat that is. I don't even know what to call it, but seemed to be his style on the sidelines for decades. He won his fair share of national championships. He was Nick Saban before Nick Saban, and yeah, arguably the greatest coach of all time, Bear Bryant. That's my first pick.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So I guess with my first pick, I am gonna go with a running back. Now there's kind of two running backs in my eyes when it comes to college football all-time greats. There's Herschel Walker.
Stop.
What?
Don't give away picks, bro.
No, well, there's Herschel Walker, who is not going with, but I am going with Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin is the only person that's ever won the Heisman twice, winning it in 1974 and 1975. He has, I believe, still the record for the most rushing yards in college football, like history, during a tenure there. So he's kind of just like an undeniable legend of college football. And then my second pick, if my screen loads so I can kind of do more stats, give you guys more stats on this guy, but I'm going to go with a wide receiver. This wide receiver was a legend in college as well as the NFL, undisputed Hall of Famer in a lot of people's eyes. In his senior year, or in his college career, he finished with 4,706 all-purpose yards and 55 touchdowns in just 28 games. That's pretty fucking unbelievable. I'm gonna go with Randy Moss.
Can't go wrong there.
It's a great pick.
Yeah.
So my next pick, we got to get the tough positions out of the way. We got to get the defense out of the way. So my greatest defensive player that I want on my team, I want Deion Sanders. I mean, the man was money at Florida State. Nobody was a better athlete than he was. Arguably, he played under Bobby Bowden, another legend in Florida State. I don't believe Deion ever won a national title at Florida State, but he was multiple-time All-American, and he had, 14, 15 interceptions in his time there and carried it on into the league. Undisputed Hall of Famer and Pro Football and College Football Hall of Fame. So I want Deion Sanders.
All right. I mean, I kind of spoiled the pick earlier. I mean, not really. He didn't really know that we're not sharing picks, but future we're not sharing picks. I mean, Herschel Walker, like the other amazing running back in college football history. Like, again, pretty self-explanatory. So, Caden, you're up. You got two picks.
All right. Well, I'll start on the defensive end. I'm gonna go with. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Lawrence Taylor. I think he was an absolute stud.
Where you go? North Carolina?
Yeah, UNC.
Yeah.
UNC. So 21 sacks, 10 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 192 tackles. He actually started at the defensive line, then changed to linebacker. So just one of the GOATs of all time in college football and obviously the NFL as well. So that's my defensive player. And then let's see. I'm actually surprised this running back hasn't been taken yet. I think in the tiers of running back, I think he falls around 3 or 4. I'm gonna go with Bo Jackson, just
Yep.
absolute menace at Auburn. He probably one of the greatest athletes of all time. I'm sure you guys have all seen the documentary of him. Just you couldn't stop Bo. You know, he just would run for 90 yards on you every play. Like he unstoppable.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna go receiver here. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. He was incredible in the NFL in a short time there, but he was absolutely unbelievable in college at Georgia Tech. That's Mr. Calvin Johnson. Absolute beast on the field.
Yep.
Yeah, no explanation needed there. My next pick, I'm gonna take my running back off of the board, and this is tough because, I mean, I don't think there's a position in college football that you can argue has as many like legendary players as the running back position. There's just been so many great college running backs that have come through. Honorable mention, OJ Simpson. But my running back pick that I'm going to take is going to be Ricky Williams at Texas. Mid 90s, he was just an absolute baller. And now, I mean, yeah, there's little to be said about Ricky Williams at Texas. One of the greatest college football players ever.
Yeah. All right. So with my pick, I'm gonna go with my first pick, I guess. I'm gonna go defense. I'm gonna pick a player that won a national championship, as well as pretty sure still to this day the only person on defense that's ever won the Heisman. That's Charles Woodson. I mean, man was electric at Michigan. He had 8 interceptions his senior year, along with a bunch of touchdowns from kick returns and punt returns. Really good in the NFL, obviously a Hall of Famer as well. And then my fourth pick is going to be my quarterback. I feel like this quarterback is not really talked about when it comes to the GOATs, but when you look at his stats, by the time he left, he had school records for career total offense, career touchdown passes, and rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season. He set NCAA records before finishing second to Eddie George in the Heisman voting, which I feel like was pretty undeserved. He won 2 national championships with Nebraska, and that's Tommy Frazier.
I like your defense pick. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the only defensive player to ever win the Heisman.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of mad. I had Charles Woodson on my list, but I didn't see him. I kind of wish I would have picked him over LT, but hey, you learn.
All right, so I'm up, right? I'm gonna take my quarterback off the board, and this is also tough, but I'm gonna go new school, and might be a bold pick, but I'm gonna take Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
He had arguably one of the greatest college football seasons that a quarterback could have. Granted, he had ridiculous weapons, the likes of Jamar Chase, Jefferson. He had some Randy Moss offspring in that offense, Clyde Hilaire. But, I mean, the yards and touchdowns and the stats speak for themselves. After Joe Burrow got hit by that UCF safety or whatever that was, he was never the same. And he just lit it up that next year, put on a show for everyone. Yeah, went number 1. The rest is history.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuck between 2 QBs right now. I mean, fuck it. I'll take the surefire one. I'm gonna take Peyton Manning. His career at Tennessee was fucking incredible. Not much you really need to say about him, but he was just an absolute beast, and he kept it going in the NFL. So,
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So I got wide receiver and coach. All right. So wide receiver, gonna go with the Larry legend himself, Larry Fitzgerald. So he played for Pittsburgh, and absolute beast. Only played for 2 years, 6,672 yards, 22 touchdowns, unstoppable in college. Can't go wrong with him. And then For my coach, you know, I was gonna go Urban Meyer, but since his last year with the Jags, just I'm still thinking about throwing up. I'm gonna go with Steve Spurrier, the legend himself from UF. I know I have two UF players and coaches on my team, but I think Steve Spurrier, just with the visor, you know, won a championship back in, was it 97, I think?
Yeah.
Absolute GOAT as a player and as a coach at UF. So very, very legendary. And then obviously coached at South Carolina as well. And I think he
He
coached.
had them pretty good for a few years too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's recruited Clowney over there. They had
Mhm.
Connor Shaw at quarterback.
Yep.
They had Stephon Gilmore and a couple other good NFLers. So
Yep.
talk about Pitt too. Pitt. I mean, I know they were like a top program in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, but they produced like some great NFL talent too. When you think about it, like Dan Marino, they got Aaron Donald and
Yep.
Larry Fitzgerald and a couple more names. But Pitt,
A lot of future Hall of Famers / Hall of Famers right there.
So I need a defensive player. I don't think we've really kind of touched the defensive line yet. So I might as well. I'm gonna go Reggie White out of Tennessee, absolute beast. College, NFL, you name it. He was absolutely incredible all the way around. And yeah, just an incredible player.
all right. So my final pick to complete the roster. The only thing I have missing is a wide receiver. So I did some thinking.
That's not good.
I'm gonna no, you're gonna like this pick. I'm taking Tavon Austin.
That
Solid
was in
pick.
my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The greatest
You
highlight.
ever seen
tape
his
ever.
highlight tapes and
Yes,
not been
bro.
inspired? Like, do you even like football? If you
Oh.
haven't seen his highlight tape, first of all, and if you haven't wanted to run through a brick wall after seeing it,
Yes.
like he might not have been like the most productive NFL receiver, but in college at West Virginia, you could not catch that man. He was lightning out there. Literally, he was lightning.
Mhm.
He was like every great football player, like into one. He's
Yeah.
so quick, elusive, his hands, everything.
Yeah,
Tavon.
that was definitely my other pick I was thinking about at wide receiver. So I think that's a really good pick there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Hod.
He's finishing off. I need a coach. This is where I get controversial.
Dan Mullen.
No, fuck no.
Billy Napier.
Yeah, I will. I hopefully, and I come back in 30 years and do this draft and hopefully.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go with. I could get canceled, but Joe Paterno.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, he wasn't touching little boys. It was his
exactly.
assistant.
He knew about it.
Legacy
Yeah.
is marred by Jerry Sandusky,
He
but
knew about it. He
he's
knew
the
about
winningest
it.
college football coach of all time. He has 409 wins. He was a head coach at Penn State for, I believe, like 45 or something like that years. He won 2 national championships, a bunch of undefeated seasons. I think he won like 25 bowl games. So just a ridiculous tenure. It's a shame that his legacy was kind of ruined by one of his former coaches. But still, like if you're talking about just like college football coaching and just being on a field, Joe Paterno is.
Yeah, great football coach.
Questionable decision.
Questionable character for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna run through it real quick, and then we'll do honorable mentions. So Caden,
That
you had
big
Tebow, LT, Bo Jackson, Larry Fitz, Steve Spurrier. I took Saban, Herschel Walker, Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, Reggie White.
It's pretty good.
Steve, you took Bear Bryant, Dion, Ricky Williams, Joe Burrow, Tavon Austin. Pod, you took Archie Griffin, Randy Moss, Charles Woodson, Tommy Frazier, and Joe Paterno. So, and then we'll go down the line, 2 honorable mentions each. So, Caden, who you got?
Yeah, I have a few. First of all, Cam Newton, obviously controversial too. Since, you know, he's throwing laptops out the window at UF, but he had a great college career at Auburn. Obviously, won a championship with them. Johnny Manziel, just one of the most cocky, like, just greatest college quarterbacks of all time. Obviously, the partying got the best of him once he got to his NFL career, but I wish I could live in the shoes of him when he was at Texas A&M. I'm sure it was a fun life for him. Let's see. So I'm gonna go Reggie Bush.
Yeah, it was mine.
Yeah,
Good one.
Reggie Bush, great
Big
honor.
box.
And then one more, Darren McFadden. That running
slept
back
on him.
trio. Yeah, that running back trio at Arkansas. They had Darren McFadden, Peyton Hillis, and Felix Jones. Peyton Hillis, shout out 2012 Madden cover.
Yeah.
But but to have a college producing 3 NFL running backs who are all on the team at the same time is definitely some wild stuff.
Forgot about those years, man. Arkansas was like, they were like a top 5 team back in that day.
Yeah.
They're making moves.
That they were. So I'm only gonna do 2. I'm gonna go Vince Young.
Yep, that was
He was
another
a
one on my
beast on the
list.
field. And then Barry Sanders, although his time as a starter was short, holy shit, did he fucking ball.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say Barry Sanders as well. Lamar Jackson had an incredible season, kind of the first of its kind. With maybe not the first of its kind, but just like the way he was able to play the game, he just seemed like he was light years ahead of everybody else in terms of like speed and throwing in that combination.
I mean, some of the only like comparable quarterback, like Michael Vick and maybe RG3 are like the 2 best compared.
Yeah, well, I was thinking because like Tebow won the Heisman for his rushing ability.
But it was a completely different style of rushing from Lamar Jackson than with Tebow. But
Yeah,
Lamar killed it.
I feel like Cam kind of led the way there.
Yeah.
Cam had the more physical, like Tebow-esque running style. Lamar and Vic had the more like shifty, elusive type.
Yeah. I mean, and then another shout out to Jameis Winston. I mean, his season at Florida State in 2013 was almost perfect. That roster, if you go back and look at the players on that roster, I mean, wow, that team was stacked with NFL talent. You had Dalvin Cook in the backfield, Jalen Ramsey across the line of scrimmage,
Calvin Benjamin.
Yeah, you had Jack Nicklaus's grandson, Nick O'Leary at tight end. Just a lot of studs.
Yeah. So mine was gonna be Michael Vick, Virginia Tech legend. Ndamukong Suh. I feel like slept on, but he had a crazy career in Nebraska.
Yeah.
He's a monster. And I'll do like one more old school one. Dick Butkus.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick Dick Butkus for defense.
I mean, not that many people know that he was. A lot of people know him for being linebacker, but he was also the starting center for the team, and has a crazy amount of total tackles and like legendary highlight reel. But I guess as they went.
There's an award named after him. You got to be pretty good.
Yeah. Also, I was going to say Warren Sapp too, but no.
Where did Warren Sapp go to school?
Forget, but I think he went to Texas, but I could be wrong. I'll look it up right now.
Sapp.
Miami. He went to Miami.
Oh yeah, that's right, Miami. So he probably won a natty, or maybe
I knew it was an orange.
natty.
Yeah.
Miami was really good in the 90s, man.
Yeah.
2000.
01.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Caden, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was awesome. Great snake draft, great fantasy football points. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with everyone you know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on Friday.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. This episode is dedicated to the late Kobe Bryant, who would have turned 42 today. So happy birthday, Kobe. Rest in paradise, legend.
R.I.P. Kobe.